What's up everyone, Joseph here. In this video, we're going to take a look at the grammar that is on page uh, 40 of the book. This is question with how and short answers. This is on unit 6, page 40, unit 6. So, we have seen this before, or briefly. Um, Before I explained that with how we can ask about the frequency of something happening and the intensity of an adjective in a situation. We write often or the adjective after how. I explained this while talking about WH questions like 2 weeks ago, something like that. For example, how often do you visit her? Once a week. How often do you exercise? Every day. Um, how responsible do you think he is? Not very responsible. How big does she think I am? Enormous. Here we're using often. How often? And this is used to ask about the frequency of something happening. And this is how plus the adjective. This is to ask about the intensity of an adjective. How responsible do you think he is? Not very responsible. How big does she think I am? Enormous. We're asking about the opinion. What do they think about the adjective related to that person? How responsible is that person? Very responsible, for example. Now, we're gonna take a deeper look at questions with how. The structure of questions with how is how plus often or well or an adjective plus an auxiliary. Yes, you can use different auxiliaries to ask questions with how. You don't you can make questions in the past, in the future, present continuous, uh, with would, with could, with a lot of auxiliary. Plus subject, plus the verb, plus the complement. How often do you dance? How often do you dance? The frequency in which you dance. How well did they play chess 10 years ago? You see, we made a past question with past with did. How well did they play chess 10 years ago? Excuse me. How strong can you become by doing exercise? How strong can you become by doing exercise? So again, how plus an adjective in this case. In this case is how plus well. Here is how plus often. We're gonna explain how we use them in a minute. A structure with the verb be as the main verb. How plus often an adjective or adjective plus the verb be plus the subject plus the complement. Here we don't use well in this kind of questions with the verb be as the main verb because well is an adverb. Verb is not used with the verb be. Um, Only informally. A lot of things can happen informally, but informal English is not used. So, how often is he here? How often is he here? How good is your health? Again, how plus often or an adjective plus the verb be plus the subject plus the complement if there is one. Now, difference between how often and how long. How often is what we all know. We use it to ask with what frequency, to ask about the frequency of an event. And how long, how plus the adjective long, how long is the same as how much time. We use it to ask about the amount of time that an event lasts. How much time does an event last? Let's see some examples. How often do you go to the gym? Oh, 4 times a week. You go to the gym 4 times a week. The frequency in which you go to the gym. How long do you spend at the gym? It's the same as how much time do you spend at the gym? 2 hours. How long? For how much time? How long do you spend at the gym? How much time do you spend at the gym? It's the same thing. Okay, another example. How often do you go to the English class? 5 days a week. How long does the English class take? How long sorry, the question mark. How long does the English class take? 4 hours. Again, how much time does the English time take? Okay, so now we're gonna explain the difference between how good and how well. Do not confuse good and well. They basically mean the same thing. If you look for the definition, they are basically synonymous. But good is an adjective, well is an adverb, so you use them differently. Use the adjective good with be and the adverb well with other verbs. For example, how good are you at soccer? How good are you at soccer? You see with verb be, next to verb be. How good are you at soccer? How well do you play soccer? How well do you play soccer? You see, here we're using something else. We're using an auxiliary verb here. How well do you play soccer? And here we are using the verb be. So now you know how to use how good and how well. How good with verb be following, and how well with another verb following. How good is the cake? Another example. How good is the cake? And how well does the cake taste? How well does the cake taste? Again, the difference. How good, verb be. How well, another verb. Okay, short answers. So answering incomplete sentences sound unnatural. Therefore, people use short answers. For example, let's use this question as an example. How good are you at soccer? I am pretty good at soccer. No, you don't say like that. Well, you could, and people would understand you, and it would be correct, but it sounds better if you just say pretty good. You don't have to say the whole sentences. I am pretty good at soccer. No, you just say pretty good. It sounds more natural. And how well do you play soccer? How well do you play soccer? Very well. You don't say I play soccer very well. You just say very well. How good is the cake? Really good. You don't say the cake is really good. Just say really good. You don't have to repeat the subject and the verb. How well does the cake taste? Delicious. You don't say the cake tastes delicious. You just say delicious. Simply put. So this is the end of the video. I will see you on the next one.